All right. All right. Okay. I think we are live.
Hey, hey,
Welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Always good to see you.
you as
Um,
well.
let's just double check. I'm going to just cheat here for a minute for those of you watching and just make sure that we don't have any snafus. Um, let's see. Let's just make sure that it's all good. I think we are good. Okay, we're good. Okay. So,
Awesome.
awesome. So, welcome to everyone out in Facebook land who's tuning in to check this conversation out. I have my client and very good friend Emily Moss here, who is an amazing nutritionist. What she has really created in her business is really very cool for those of you listening who are looking for an actionable something that you can grab onto to help you navigate the crazy, the chaos, everything that goes with the holidays. And we're talking about all the food and all the drinks here because this is the time of year when, if you're at work, the break room just explodes with treats every day. There's people sending you food, there's people giving you food. It's everywhere. So I'm always excited to see you.
You as well, you as well. And with Thanksgiving right around the corner, we're
Totally.
all in the, holiday mindset right
100%.
now.
Yeah, 100%. So first of all, tell everybody who's just meeting you for the first time a little bit about you and what you do.
Sure. So, I have been in private practice for a little over 7 years. I work specifically with women, 45 and older
Mhm,
who are struggling to lose weight,
mhm.
lose the bloat, get their energy back, fix their
Yep.
sleep to the degree
Mhm.
that I can help with that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And really just about feeling good in their bodies, right?
Yeah.
Because either you're in that perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause phase, 45 and older.
Mhm.
Um, you've tried all the things that used to work. They no longer work. And there's so much confusion out there that
Yeah.
really the
Totally.
main thing that I stress with my clients is not only cutting through that noise with science-backed
Mhm.
nutrition education,
Mhm.
but with accountability, right?
Yeah.
Because 90% of us, we know what to do,
Yeah.
right? It's
Totally.
just the doing it. And we
Yeah.
we are good for a week or two, and then
Mhm.
life does what life does,
Yeah.
and we need some help getting back on track.
Well, there's no lack of information, that's for sure. It's like one of the
Exactly.
things I always tell everyone I know is you can Google anything you want today. But here's the real problem with that. I'm all for having resources and information being available. But here's the problem. I think there's so many people that don't understand what information is actually helpful and what is just simply more information. And that's why the work that you do is so valuable for a number of reasons, but because you help people cut through all of that and help them learn and master a strategy that fits their life, because that's really what you're about is like, look, we all want a real life. We don't want to live our lives feeling like we have to be restricted and deprived all the time.
Exactly. And, nobody wants to eat off a spreadsheet for the rest of
Totally.
their life, or count the Weight Watcher points or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the things are. At some
Mm-hmm.
point,
Uh,
you just want to live your life and eat the food, right? And
yeah.
so it's having the tools and the strategy to
Mm-hmm.
know how to do that.
Yeah.
One of the biggest takeaways that my clients, like if you were to
Mm-hmm.
poll most of my clients, they would probably all say the one main thing that they've learned from me, which you know this, but you
Yeah.
don't know it until
Yeah.
you start
Right.
living it, is
Right.
there's a difference between eating healthy and eating for weight loss.
Yes. Thank you. Well, say that again for the people in the back.
Yes. I mean, you can eat clean, you can eat healthy, you can do all the things and still be stuck and
Yeah.
frustrated and struggling with your weight,
Mm-hmm.
because they are two separate things. Eating
Yeah.
for weight loss is different than eating healthy.
Yes.
You can eat the avocado, the salmon, the nuts, all the things, but if you're not eating them in the right portion for your
Yeah.
particular goals,
Mhm.
you're either going to gain weight or you're going to stay the same.
Yeah, and that's one principle that I just want to hit on for a minute that should be like universal throughout is that you have to, when you're trying to lose weight, you have to be in a caloric deficit. So I think what a lot of people think is, well, I'm eating, everything I eat is good. That's the other thing I think we do is we attach these moral values to food. Well, I'm not going to eat that because it's bad for me. But I think really at the end of the day, people, like you said, they know what's healthy and they know what's good. But it's if you eat too much of it, it doesn't matter. You're
Right.
still looking at like eating way too much food.
Right. Right. And so it really is one of my, you know, core values as a coach and a
Hmm.
nutritionist is to bring awareness to that,
Yeah.
and it becomes like an aha, like I
Yeah.
had no idea,
Yeah. Yeah.
this whatever it is was that many calories, or I thought this had protein,
Hmm.
but it really doesn't have the protein that I need, and
Hmm.
that kind of thing. So
And most of us, if we're being really honest, I know that I've fallen into this trap before too, so I'll just be perfectly clear on that. Most of us eat too much food. Most of us we might say, well, I only had this many calories, but the reality is that we've eaten more than that. And that's because we discount a lot of things or we think that there are things that don't count.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And then when we do get some momentum going,
Hmm.
right, and we are losing weight and we feel like we're in the groove, then what happens?
Hmm.
It's date night, it's a
Yep.
holiday, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then how do you navigate those things, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe you have sort of like figured out, okay, I know
Mhm.
how to do the day in and day out stuff, but like we're going to be talking about
Yep.
today is okay,
Yep.
here come the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Or what do I do when I go out to dinner with my friends, and that sort of thing. And it really is not so much about willpower, because we've
Mhm.
all tried to white knuckle
No
it
kidding.
before, right?
Absolutely.
Like
100%.
like we dig our heels in. I'm not going to do XYZ. I'm not going
Mhm.
to eat or drink XYZ for 30 days or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And so it's not about the willpower, because you don't need any more willpower. What
Yeah.
you need is some strategy. You need some environmental
Yep.
changes. You need some routine and
Yep.
structure. And so
Totally.
that's really, what I
Yeah,
really.
because I think really the meta skill here, the skill that is learnable, if that's a word, for anybody listening, is that no matter what happens in the world, no matter what happens, whether it's the holidays or your birthday or summer cookout season or whatever, when you have the structure and the strategy, which is what you teach, that works, that you can just plug and play throughout the year and make it work for you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
And
it.
I
So
think,
let's go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think women, like I
Mhm.
said, 45 and older, we've grown up in the dieting
Mhm.
generation
Right.
of eating as little as possible and the number on the scale really dictating, you
Yep.
know, if we're
Totally.
winning or not, right?
Yep. Right.
And I think when we take our eyes off of that and take our eyes onto, okay, what actually makes me feel good and I
Mhm.
have energy?
Mhm.
I can eat a lot of food because
Right.
it's a lot of volume for little calories.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, the number on the scale, while yes, you want it to be lower than what your current, number is if you're looking
Mhm.
to lose weight,
Right.
once you start feeling good, it doesn't even really matter.
Yeah. Totally. 100%. I think that was very well said. So let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk a little bit about what most people watching this and listening are about to walk into with Thanksgiving starting next week. Now, regardless of how you celebrate or what you celebrate, I think we can all agree that the holidays sort of bring about not only a lot more food, but parties, a lot more gatherings, a lot more opportunities where you find yourself in really uncomfortable situations.
Mhm.
Situations that could really like throw you off course, especially if you've worked really hard to hit your health and your fitness and your fat loss goals for the year. So let's talk a little bit about that because I know that that's something that you used to struggle with too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think for me, um, the intention
Hmm.
started off as, I like to cook, I like to bake, I like
Yep.
to gift food to people,
Hmm.
that sort of thing. And so the intention started off with, this is just what I do because
Right.
I like it.
Right.
And then, a few bites turn into, okay, I had cookies for dinner,
Hmm.
or
Right.
something like
Or
that.
I had a
And
piece of cake
then
for breakfast or whatever.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. There's pie left over,
Yeah.
all the things. And
Hmm.
then you just feel so crummy
Yeah.
that it just for me anyway, the entire month was just a food fest of various
Yeah.
things that I didn't
Yeah.
really know how to gain any control back.
Yeah. And you just feel like you're just waiting for it to be over.
Yes.
So, and then we tell ourselves the story, I'll get on track in January. And I know for me, being a fitness professional, we used to call January and February our Christmas season because that's when everybody would want to start working out. And a lot of it was, I can remember distinctly when I owned my studio, the number one thing that people would tell me is, I got off track at the holidays. I ate too much food at the holidays. I just need to get back on track. That's what I would always hear.
And I think that is the reality for the majority of
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
Um, because while it may not be in excess, I mean,
Yeah.
for some people it will be in excess,
Yeah.
but for
Totally.
the majority of people, it might not really be in excess,
Hmm.
but you just don't feel good when
Yeah.
you are overeating, overindulging, your sleep is off,
Hmm.
your motivation is lacking. You
Hmm.
have this feeling of, for me anyway, it was this feeling of overwhelm,
Yeah.
right? Like I had as a mom, as a wife,
Yeah.
I'm buying all the gifts. I'm the one decorating mostly,
Yeah. Hmm.
all the things that are wrapped up in that, and you don't feel like you have time to prioritize yourself,
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
alone your health, right?
Yeah. Totally. And I think that's very real for a lot of people because I think the mindset this time of year is that there's all these things that I have to do.
Hmm.
It's I got to decorate, I got to do the shopping, I got to do the Christmas cards, I got to make the plans, I got to figure out who's coming over to eat, you know?
Right.
And so at the end of the day, when you're tired and you're exhausted and you feel like you're pulled in 10 different directions, of course it's easy to just grab a cookie or have another piece of pie or whatever. And you just tell yourself, I'll just do it, I'll get to it later or I'll start over in January.
That's right. Or, you hit the drive-through, right?
Yeah,
Because you've got all the
totally.
errands to run, all of that sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with hitting the
Yeah,
drive-through,
yeah,
but knowing what is a better choice for me through
yeah,
the drive-through and
yeah.
that
So
kind of thing.
So let's talk a little bit about, I want to just for people listening, because I know for me, I've found myself in these situations too. Let's talk a little bit about exact situations that people might run into at the holidays. Like, let me picture it. Like you walk into somebody's house and what's the first thing that they ask you? What can I get you to drink?
Yeah.
Or before you can even wrap your head around saying, I'm going to stick to water today, or I'm going to go to the club soda or whatever, somebody's handing you a cocktail or handing you a glass of wine. And then the first thing you see, of course, is the food table. And that's where you just feel like you're on autopilot and that's where you want to go first. These are just, I don't know if it's, I don't want to call it like it's just the holiday madness. I don't know that it's really that, but it is like a mindset that I think we find ourselves in. And there's a lot of psychology around that for people that lead them to be making decisions that at the end of the day, they wish they hadn't done.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And and yes, these are strategies that are not just for the holidays, but I think because the holiday season is so compact with
Yeah.
so many social things,
Totally.
that we don't have in such a concentrated time
Yeah.
any other month of the
I
year.
know. I know. And when you think about the volume, I mean, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I was at the supermarket the other day, and there's an entire aisle of candy dedicated for Christmas. Like, chocolates and prepackaged gift sets and candy canes and anything. And it's like, and you think about on a daily basis, how many people see that?
Hmm.
And to your point, I mean, willpower, just like we're human beings, willpower just doesn't work at the end of the day. So you
Exactly.
think about
So
that, and then you add parties and the break room at work that's always full, and you think there's no wonder that people are eating way more than they're used to.
exactly. Well, and so we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
but one of the things really is when it comes to the workplace and the treats in the break room,
Mhm.
or if you work in a hospital and there's always things around there. One of the things really I drive home with all my
Yeah.
clients is to activate your food snobbery, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't, right? Like I have said
Yeah.
that so many times. So if you think
That needs to
about
be on a t-shirt for you, by the way.
exactly, I'm a
Right.
food snob,
Right.
leave me
Right.
alone.
Right.
Um, one of the things I think, like when you are looking at the cakes, the
Mhm.
cookies, you know, okay, is a Costco cake or a grocery store cookie that you can pretty much get any time of the
Yeah.
year,
Exactly.
you know, it okay, yes, it's going to hit that sugar rush that you're looking for, but
Mhm.
that's all it is. It's
Yeah.
not even that good, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think sometimes it's easy to do that when you're either, to your point, tired, overextended, you're in a rush, or you just need something quickly,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
exactly. And so I think so let's go back to, going into
Yeah.
whether it is, the Friendsgiving, the
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, your next door neighbors throwing a holiday bash,
Yeah.
whatever it is. So first thing typically that happens is you walk in and maybe you're not even out of your coat yet and somebody's handing you a drink,
Yep.
right? Like what do
Been
you do?
there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So what do you do? So my suggestion is, the alcohol, what happens as soon as you walk in, somebody hands you that drink or ask you what you want to drink.
Yeah.
The alcohol, first of all, is going to lower your inhibitions, right? You're
Yep.
going to be more snacky and all of that sort of thing.
Yep.
If they hand you the drink right away, what if you drink half of it, set it down, and then grab yourself a sparkling water, right?
Yep.
And then those sparkling water sort of like resets you of, oh
Yep.
yeah, I'm back to reality now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Plus,
what am
like
I
you
thinking?
said, it gives you something to do. Like you've got something to hold so you don't feel like you're just standing around, like the oddball out, right?
That's exactly it. And I think that's the other part too. So when you walk into someone's home and they've got the charcuterie out or the chips and the dip and all the things, I mean, we always gravitate toward the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And we all are in the kitchen having our snacks, having a drink, something like that. And
Mhm.
really, it's about that hand occupation, if you
Yeah.
will,
Totally.
you know? And it's also the snackiness is kind of the interrupter
Yeah.
of the awkwardness as you're trying to make some conversation right
Yeah.
when you get in there.
Yeah.
Because that gives you something to talk about, right?
Totally.
Like,
Right.
you're talking about the dip or, oh gosh, that looks good or something like that versus, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to hold something.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe it's a sparkling water or maybe it's an actually, a drink of some sort that you're
Mhm.
going to not chug. Uh,
Yeah. Right.
and that you can still talk but while holding something. I think
Yeah.
that is the main thing is
Yeah.
holding something.
Yeah, I think so too. And I also think it's, the other thing is that when you go to a party, the busiest room is always the kitchen because that's where the
Mhm,
food is.
mhm.
So it's just a natural place for people to hang out and congregate, right? And so the more you're around it, even if you're not hungry, you're going to keep eating. I mean, I can't
Right.
tell you how many clients used to tell me that. Well, the party was in the kitchen and I know I ate more because it was just there and, it tasted good. And I mean, like I said, we're human beings. We're going to do that.
The other thing that we do from a, psychological
Mhm.
standpoint is something called social mirroring.
Yeah.
So when everybody else is eating all the snacks, that's what you're doing because
Yeah.
you're mirroring your social setting, right?
Yeah.
And so instead of doing that, just going along with it, my suggestion and strategy is
Mhm.
always going to be just get a small plate
Yeah.
and get all the things you want
Mhm.
from the snacks and put it on one plate. And
Yeah.
that is like your boundary. Like, this is what I'm
Yeah.
having. I don't care what it is. You don't have to
Yeah.
stick with, just the celery sticks. You
Yeah.
get whatever you
Yeah.
want,
Right.
but at least you have some sort of visual of,
Yeah.
okay, this is my boundary. This is what I'm having. At
Yeah.
least mentally, even if you go back for seconds,
Mhm.
I had 2 plates of that versus I don't even know. I had
Yeah.
so many
Because
chips,
that's what people typically do. They'll get a napkin, they'll put a couple things on it. And I don't want to use the word aimlessly, but if you're talking and you're spending time catching up with people, it's easy to lose track. And in your
Mhm.
mind, you're not thinking, I've already had two of those and one of those and one of those, because it just one becomes two, becomes three, and then before you know it, you've eaten more than you were planning to eat.
Exactly. Or what about when you are at someone's home
Mhm.
and they have a few snacks out, but
Yeah.
there's still some in the oven that they're going to be pulling out and putting
Yeah.
on, and then, but you didn't know that, right?
Yeah.
And you already started on the first portion, and then
Mhm.
they bring some other stuff out, and you're like, huh, I really wish I hadn't eaten that stuff because I
Yeah.
really want this stuff, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's the other strategy too. Like, play a little game with yourself and see how long you can
Yeah.
actually wait
Yeah.
before you even make the plate.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I
And
love that.
then you can have full opportunity to see what everybody else is having. The other thing too is
Mhm.
the idea of tasting. If people bring something, let's say I don't know, Thanksgiving, there's usually a lot of
Yeah.
pies, right?
Right.
Or maybe you go to a cookie exchange at someone's house
Yeah.
or something like
Yep.
that. And the idea of, well, they brought all this stuff. I
Mhm.
probably should have a little taste of all of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I
A no
think
thank you
that
serving.
exactly,
Right. Yeah.
exactly. And I think that is one of those things where if you look at it and you say, what am I really curious about?
Hmm.
And or what do I really like?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't need to have like 8 different cookies, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's a bite, like what are the one or two that I really want to enjoy and go
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just it's being very intentional about that. All the typical behavior modification strategies too, like eating slowly, pacing yourself, having a glass of water before you go to a party or whatever to try to take the edge off a little
Mhm.
bit.
Mhm.
I think there are a lot of things that you can do. And not only that, the other side of this is that you actually enjoy it more
Yeah.
rather than it becoming just a session where I'm just eating, where you leave and you're like, I can't eat another bite,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know?
And I think
Yeah.
the other thing too is how many times have you, I mean, this happens to me regularly.
Yeah.
You go out to dinner and you're full, but there's
Hmm.
dessert.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you force yourself, like you're like, "Oh, I'm full, but boy, it looks good," or, "Oh, I'm just
I
gonna have a
know.
couple of
Or I'll
bites."
just want to taste. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I think the one thing that if you can wrap your mind around that dessert, that becomes the transition from
Hmm.
dinner. For
Yeah.
for a lot of us, it's the transition into the fun part of the night, right? Like
Yeah.
we've had this structure of, okay, we've had a little meet and greet, we've broken the ice, we've eaten this dinner
Yeah.
that whoever's made. Now we're going to have the fun part. And so
Yeah.
the dessert becomes that transition to the fun part, whatever
Hmm.
that might mean for
Hmm.
people.
Right.
Maybe you stay longer, maybe you play games, maybe
Yeah.
there's just, whatever it is. And so if you think of the transition of, okay, we're transitioning from the dinner
Hmm.
to the fun part. Do I
Yeah.
need this dessert or can I
Yeah.
just have fun? Maybe that is just getting another drink, alcoholic or not, but
Yeah.
maybe it's just not having the dessert.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's giving yourself a moment to make that decision too,
Mhm.
which I
Mhm.
think is super important because otherwise it's almost like we just operate on repeat,
That's it. That's
right?
it.
Over and
Well, and
over.
I think hand in hand with that is um putting some different cues in place
Hmm.
when we do have those behaviors that repeat. For a
Yeah.
lot of us, it's loneliness in the holidays,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
Like for me, both of my boys, they don't come home for Christmas because they've got jobs that they're not able to travel during the
Yeah.
holidays. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of a lonely period,
Yeah.
for me, and so I think that's one of those things. It's like you have to like catch yourself of,
Mhm.
okay, what are my behaviors and what triggers do I
Yeah.
have? And number one, are they accessible? If they're too
Mhm. Yeah.
accessible,
Yeah.
then you need to figure that part out,
Yeah,
right?
totally. Totally.
Yeah,
Like there's just things I just don't want to keep in my house because, people think that health and fitness professionals don't like to eat, sweets and candy and all that, and nothing could be further from the truth. But at the same time, I don't want to keep a lot of that in my house on a regular basis because I know myself. If I get home at the end of the day and I'm tired, of course, if that's what's there, I'm going to do it. I'm
exactly.
not going to say, "Oh, I never do that," because that's just not fair.
Exactly. And so one of the strategies with that sort of thing, and I talk about this some
Mhm.
in the Real Holiday Fix,
Yeah.
is the pause and park it.
Yeah. Love
So
that.
so if somebody gifts you food,
Yeah.
right? They bring
Uh,
something over, you know, pause, right? Like
yeah.
you don't need to go in
Yeah.
immediately. Oh, let me try
Yeah.
this sort of thing. But pause and then park it somewhere that is not on the counter that you're not having to walk by it and tell yourself, I'm not having that, or have one every single time you walk by it.
Yeah.
But park it somewhere that you're not seeing it on a regular basis. And then just plan it in. If it's a cookie, maybe you want to have it with lunch. If
Yeah.
it's I don't know, if it's some sort of coffee cake or something like that, maybe you decide I'm going to plan the coffee cake for my breakfast, but I'm
Yeah.
also going to pair it with, my yogurt or some eggs or some sort of protein so that I still feel my
Right.
best as I
Totally.
go on. So it's keeping your routine intact
Yeah.
for the majority of the time,
Mhm.
but just including these things, the cookie, the cake, the whatevers,
Yeah.
in so that you're still enjoying it, but you're not actually, dieting per se
Yeah.
during the
Yeah,
month.
because I don't think people in general want to diet around the holidays.
No.
I think they're people that, do a very good job of staying on track with their plan. But I don't even like to use the word dieting because to me it implies a beginning and an end. And the goal is for you to have something that works for you throughout the year. And so one of the things I love about what you've created with the real life holiday fix is that you're not giving people like a magical meal plan to follow. You're not saying eat this and or just follow these rules. But what you're doing is you're giving people a toolbox to manage all the situations that we've talked about and all the ones that we haven't so that you can adapt it for your lifestyle. So tell everybody a little bit about what they can expect in the real life holiday fix.
So I have identified the most common
Yeah.
triggers for
Mhm.
for all of us, right?
Yeah.
So there's stress,
Yeah.
there's overwhelm and there's stress.
Yeah.
There are people, right? There
Yeah.
are the
The food
food
pushers.
pushers, exactly.
Right.
The food pushers.
Yeah.
There are the days that you're going to have low motivation, that you
Yeah.
just don't want to, your to-do list is so
Yeah.
long that you just as soon stay in your pajamas all day,
Yeah. Yeah.
there is a section in there on happy hour, how to
Yeah.
handle alcohol, whether it is at home, out, whatever. Um, the workplace, we talk about that some in there. Um, then there's another section in there is around food to take. So if
Yeah.
you were going to a party or an event,
Yeah.
what are some good things that you could take that everyone would like,
Yeah.
that you would
Right.
also enjoy? And then some food gift ideas, some non-food gift
Yeah.
ideas, and that kind of thing. So, I mean, really, the biggest ones for most people are going to be stress, people,
Mhm.
motivation,
Yeah.
and the happy hour, I
And the
think.
happy hour too. Yeah.
Mhm,
You've
mhm.
also got a really good section in there about how to manage all the treats. The break room that's full of snacks or the party that just has like the endless table of desserts and cookies and things that you can just easily keep grazing on. And what I really love about what you did is that it's a lot of visual things, but it's also a lot of very easy strategies. So some checklists, you even have something in there where people can kind of create their own. And so I think the important thing to mention here is that you're giving people their power back when you do that.
Mhm.
So you don't
Mhm.
have to go into the holidays and feel like I'm just going to survive it and hope that I don't look like a balloon in January, because the goal is to enjoy it. I mean, food is supposed to be enjoyed. It's a social thing, but you should be able to enjoy the treats too.
Exactly, exactly. And I think the other thing too is, this is not some 97-page thing that
Yeah,
you're
it's
going to
not.
be like knee
Yeah,
deep in. It's very realistic, it's
yeah,
very doable. Um in addition to, like you said, there are some checklists, there
yeah,
are some, like I've got one thing in there that I think is super fun is in the motivation one is around quitting. And like, if you feel like you're going to want to quit and just be like, I'm all done, there's like a little roadmap,
yeah,
okay, if you're
totally.
feeling this way, these are some things to do. If
Yeah,
you're feeling this way, let's go this
yeah.
direction, that kind of thing. And I think the other thing too is coming into this
Mhm,
season with a game plan
mhm.
is going to set you up for January.
Totally.
And
100%.
not so much the fact that I'm going to lose weight, but that I'm just going to feel good and I'm going to enjoy
Yeah.
the time with my friends and
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. I usually tell my fitness clients it's probably not a good idea to focus solely just on weight loss this time of year. I mean, but of course it depends on the person too.
Mhm.
But I also think that I think you want to be realistic about what's going to work for you, but what's more important is that you latch on to some tools and some skills that can really help you navigate, the chaos and the crazy because it's not a question of if any of that happens. It's a question of when, is what I always say.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's so funny that you bring that up because we act like every
Yeah.
year, we act like this is new.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I go over to Aunt Karen's house.
Yeah.
Well, you go there every year.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna be any different than it was last year.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to decide, okay, this year,
Yeah.
this is what I'm going to do or
Yeah.
say, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things in the people
Mm.
fix
Yeah.
portion of the guide is I've got like I don't even know. There's like so many scripts.
ERR. You
Like
do.
if this person says this to you, you can
Yeah.
say this back,
You have one called the Polite No Playbook, which I love
Yeah,
because you're actually giving people real life solutions, like no pun intended, but real life solutions on what to say and how to
exactly.
handle situations like that just, you dread and you just hope that you get through. And I guess I just want people listening to understand that it doesn't have to be like that. It can be
Right.
easy and you can still keep your power.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you don't have to constantly be saying no.
Yeah.
There are other things to do. There are other
Mhm.
ways to say it. Um, one of my favorite things is when somebody offers you something,
Yeah.
if you truly don't want it, but then there's that fine line of I don't want to hurt their feelings,
Yeah.
and all of
Right.
that sort of thing. You know, one of my favorite tools to say back is that looks so fantastic. I might, I might have some in a little bit, but if I don't, would it be all right if I took a piece home?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And you take it home, you can throw it away, you can eat it, whatever,
Yeah.
but you are saying no in a moment, but in a
Yeah.
different kind of a way.
Yeah, or it's like something else that you point out in the real life holiday fix is that looks amazing. I would love the recipe.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that you still feel like you're being nice, but at the same time you're still honoring those boundaries for yourself.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And then what about the folks that you're going to be sitting around the table with who are like, "Oh, are you still on that weight loss kick?"
Yeah.
Or, "Oh, I thought you were dieting." Or, those sorts of
Yeah.
comments that,
It can
we want to
really
give an
like
answer to,
yeah.
but at the same time we feel so judged and like, "Leave me alone" kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Which I think that happens a lot more. And so I think that the best way to handle that is not to just snap back because I think that's human nature. But the best way to handle that is to have a plan, have something ready so that you don't feel judged,
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And I think by having the strategies and the tools and knowing what to say,
yeah,
you go in feeling empowered
yeah,
versus the, oh, it's going to be the same old, same old.
yeah. Right, because it doesn't have to be that way.
It does
So,
not. It does
yeah,
not. And if you think about the people that you are spending time with that you might not normally spend time with, and you might also have some negative
yeah,
feelings
right,
around, if you go in with the thought of, I spend one holiday a year,
yeah,
let me see, like, how can I get to know them a little bit better?
yeah,
What can I learn from them?
yeah,
How can I make this as enjoyable for them as it
yeah,
could be for me?
yeah, totally. Yeah, so you want to be part of the solution too. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, love
Exactly.
that.
So,
So, so the real life holiday fix is actually available for sale, so people can buy this. Tell everybody just kind of in a nutshell what it is. It's not a weight loss program. It's not a workout program. It's very, very unique. It's just it's I like to call it a holiday toolbox. And you've got easy, actionable things that people can easily put into practice.
that's right. That's right. And like you said, it is not a diet at all
Yep.
because I
Yep.
mean, as a nutritionist, as a weight loss coach, I don't really believe in
Yeah.
dieting
Yeah.
through holidays.
Hmm.
I feel like once you get to like maybe that second week of December when things start happening, at that point it's like, okay, let's just maintain. Let's
Yeah.
just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Not get all crazy about things. And so it is there are six modules
Yeah.
within the course. And I have them in an order, and the best way I think is to go through,
Mhm.
watch some of the videos, read some of the material all the way through. Don't take
Yeah.
any notes, just kind of absorb it as you
Yeah.
would,
Yeah.
and then go back, and then you can kind of pick and choose if you want. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe the stress speaks to you or the low
Yeah.
motivation or something,
Yeah.
and then take what you will out of that and then go on to the next thing.
Yeah, and it's set up easily so that it doesn't take a lot of time to go through. Which for me, it's got to be easy and simple, or we're really just not going to do it. And what
Exactly.
I like about how you set this up is not only have you set it up in an order that I think makes a lot of sense in terms of like, let's handle the big triggers first and then let's work on the tools over here. But it's easily, you can do it very easily in an afternoon or an evening. You can go through and kind of pick and choose the tools that will work for you so that you don't self-sabotage over the
Mhm.
holidays.
Mhm. And it's laid out in such a way that the problem is identified,
Yep,
right? So
yep,
here's the problem, here's how to fix it,
yep,
and then here's what to do about it,
yep.
right? And so because it's in very segmented blocks,
Mhm.
you can easily, like when you read, okay, here's the problem, they're universal to
Yep,
all of us, right?
totally.
And
100%.
so okay, here's the problem. Yes, I agree with that,
Yeah.
yes, da da da. And then, okay, here's how we can fix this. And then you can learn all about that. And
Hmm.
then the try it steps, there are very realistic, doable, easy things to do.
Yeah. And like I said, not only is it really easy and simple to do, but it's very manageable. So I don't want people thinking this is a whole lot of things for them to learn. It's very simple,
Right, right.
literally.
Yeah.
Like you can
And
pick
and
and
like I
choose
said,
and go through.
there might be things that don't even apply to you right
Yeah.
now that you're like, I'll come back to that one later,
Yeah, exactly.
because
Yeah.
they are adaptable to
Yeah.
other times of the year versus just the holidays.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to be very clear for people listening. This is only available until when?
December the 8th.
December the 8th. So it's
Right.
available for the next 3 weeks. So
Correct.
for those of you listening, whether you're watching us live or you're watching on the replay, this is only available for a short time. So if I were you, I would run, not walk, and click the link that's down in the comments and get your hands on your own copy of this. This isn't one of those things that once you buy it, it is yours to keep. So, but you want to make sure that you get it before December the 8th.
And the reason the December the 8th is because I know you're not going to do it after that, right?
Exactly.
You're going to be
Right.
in full holiday mode. Now is the time when things haven't kicked up so much, when you can, do some stuff in the evening, during the day,
Yep.
maybe on your lunch break, you can watch a
Yep.
few things and start putting some things into practice, or at least planting in your own mind
Yes.
how you're going to respond or what your strategy is going to be for your next event.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that I just want to expand on what you just said is the goal for anyone doing this is to get some momentum now. When I talk to people all the time who say, I'm just going to wait till next year, I'm just going to wait till January, I'm just not going to think about it right now. And I just can't tell you, not only do I think that doesn't serve you, but I don't think it's necessarily the most helpful thing. And I don't want to think for anyone listening to think that this is one more thing and that you have to do it. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it is your choice. But imagine how you're going to feel and how proud of yourself you're going to be by getting some momentum and some forward progress now. You get a chance to kind of practice these things so that when we get into the thick of the holidays in a few weeks, you're going to feel so much more empowered and confident knowing that this is something that you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
love that. So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to share? Like, how can people find you?
So I'm at nutritioncoaching365.com. You can go there. I have a blog there that's got, I mean, you can read all the blogs. There's
Yeah,
so many around the holidays from
yeah,
previous years that are in
yeah,
there that you can read about traveling and whatever. Instagram is where I mostly hang out at
yeah,
Nutrition Coaching 365.
yeah. And for anyone listening, Emily puts out amazing free content too. So you definitely want to get the real life holiday fix, but you definitely want to be following all of her stuff because she posts so many amazing things that give you all kinds of tips and ideas and strategies, things that can help you all year round. But you definitely want to get your hands on the real life holiday fix while you can, because these are tools that can help you throughout the year too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Always good to talk to you.
You as
And
well.
yeah, so for anyone watching, grab the link to the real life holiday fix in the comments. Feel free to reach out to me if you like. I can give it to you, or I can put you in contact with Emily as well. So I hope everybody has a great Wednesday.
Absolutely.